How to unpack 3000 years of tradition in order to understand your world better with insight. Now, in 2013, I was advised to buy the Book of Changes, the I Ching. And this is the Princeton edition in translation of Helmut Wilhelm. And I'm not an expert, and I will never be an expert. Even if I lived for 500 years, I wouldn't be an expert of the I Ching. Because it is covering very deep forces and powers of transformation based on the heuristics of the magical computers behind the I Ching in order to explain the world. Now, there is one paragraph that I would like to read from the Great Treatise, or the Great Commentary from the I Ching in translation, which is: movement and rest have their definite laws. According to these, firm and yielding lines are differentiated. Events follow definite trends, each according to its nature. Things are distinguished from one another in definite classes. In this way, good fortune and misfortune comes about. In the heavens, phenomena take form. On earth, shapes take form. In this way, change and transformation becomes manifest. Therefore, there are several types of time, kinds of change. It is non-change, cyclic change, and sequent change. Non-change is the background, as it were, against which change is made possible. Everything is change, but we have a referential frame. For in regard to any change, there must be some fixed point to which the change can be referred. Even if we pick an absolute point, it's just a reference point. It is not true or real in any sense. Otherwise, there can be no definite order and everything is dissolved in chaos or chaotic movement. This point of reference must be established, and this always requires a choice and a decision. It makes possible a system of coordinates into which everything else can be fitted. By observing the heavens, the stars, nature and earth, the behaviors of human beings and their transactions and transformations throughout society and cultures and history, this is a system of coordinates. Within this, non-change, cyclic change and sequent change. And from this you may derive certain laws, that despite technological progress, despite societal changes and the historiography of ideas in the noosphere, you may derive as correct, because the laws themselves may be more static than change. Consequently, at the beginning of the world, as the beginning of thought, there is the decision, the fixing point of reference. And there may be multiple points of reference everywhere. How you pick the coordinates, how you adapt, and how you find content in it makes you more insightful into the biddings and tidings of men, nature, gods, and heavens. Theoretically, any point of reference is possible, but experience teaches that at the dawn of consciousness one stands already enclosed within definite prepotent systems of relationships. We are inborn in the world. Relationships and coordinates already exist. We are caught in the web of Maya, in a sense. We are not tabula rasa or white boards that we can write anything that we want on it. There is the objective world out there, pre-existing a priori relationships that we are born into. The problem then is to choose one's point of reference so that it coincides with the point of reference for cosmic events. And that is to find and unsheath the deep patterns in the world, the laws of the cosmos, the laws of physics, the laws of metaphysics, in order to understand it better. And by finding them from a cosmos of chaos, those patterns, you are on the right way to understand certain orders that you incorporate into yourselves, or microcosmize the macrocosmos. For only then can the world created by one's decision escape being dashed to pieces against preponderant systems of relationship with which it would otherwise come into conflict. That is not only individual, that is societal, historical. Obviously, the premise for such a decision is the belief that in the last analysis the world is a system of homogeneous relationships, indivisible universe, of which we create merely categories that are more or less correct, or completely wrong, deluded and ignorant. That is a cosmos, not a chaos. This belief is the foundation of Chinese philosophy, as of all philosophy. The ultimate frame of reference for all that changes is the non-changing, or the absolute point. Whenever I reach for this book, I enter a system of relationships of very advanced, sophisticated laws. Laws that were extracted from the patterns of the whole, as if the world of the stars, the gods, the heavens and earth were rendered into certain codifications. And you may call it outdated, but if you may see through the text and through the socio-historical setting it was written in, you may see the networks, the Glasbett game, citing Hermann Hesse, a certain order that may be explored in such depth, in such an abysmal insight, that rarely do I reach for anything beyond the surface of it. However, if I would recommend one book with proper understanding, around which other disciplines are informed and informing, the I Ching is not an absolute book, but it is a very important accomplishment of the Chinese philosophy and philosophy in order to render order in chaos and a true understanding of cosmos as an adornment, as an order, in summation. Thank you.